Welcome on into BKL Nightly. This is the Thursday edition. Bills getting ready for their Week 10 matchup. That's right, Week 10 matchup against the Dolphins. I'm Thad Brown, joined by Caleb Carr and Rachel Liebert, as always. Let's start with the injury update. A lot of stuff to get to out of one Bills drive. We're going to start here with the guys who have actually been upgraded, things that have gone a little better for the Bills in the last day or two. The number one of those guys is going to be Daquan Jones, who has not practiced in, there we go, got the right graphic up there now. Daquan Jones has not practiced since October 11th, so he's only limited, but just the fact he came back out on the field. Remember, what happened with Jones was that he, quote, popped a calf in pregame warmup before the Falcons Monday night game, has not been on the practice field since. So he's back. That's good. The two big names on this list, though, are Joey Bosa and James Cook. We'll talk a little more about them in just a moment, but they were both DNPs on Wednesday, both back out to practice today. Same goes for Taron Johnson, who did not practice on Wednesday with the groin issue that was suffered during practice late last week. He is limited. Terrell Bernard, actually a full practice there. I know it's listed as limited on the screen, but he was a full practice today. On the flip side, the guys who were downgrades today, the big headline there is Christian Benford, who suffered a groin injury apparently during practice on Wednesday. He was limited on Wednesday, did not practice at all on Thursday. Certainly would be a big loss for the Bills. AJ Epinesa still dealing with a concussion. Shaq Thompson, the hamstring, did not practice. Sam Franklin was a full practice on Wednesday, only an illness on Thursday, so one would think he should be mostly good to go still for Sunday. Josh Palmer dealing with the knee and ankle injuries, limited for a second day in a row, but I will say from practice on Wednesday, he did not look like a guy who was close to playing in a football game, although he continues to participate in practice. Now, with Bosa and Cook, there was a moment when I thought about those two guys being out, and it occurred to me that these two guys have become relatively vital parts of this team. Probably not too unsurprisingly, but Caleb, let's try and describe what the impact has been of Bosa and Cook to this point, and maybe what the Bills might be facing if they do become unavailable for Sunday, because they are still just a limited practice right now.
I mean, up to this point of the season, Cook and Bosa have really looked like the leaders on their respective sides of the ball. Now, obviously, when Ed Oliver was healthy, I think Ed Oliver overtakes Joey Bosa in that spot, but nobody in the secondary defensively has really stepped up huge to this point. Bosa has really been the guy that's been the biggest contributing factor for the defense so far. So, and then Cook has, obviously, I think Josh Allen is the leader of the offense, but Cook's probably been the better player up to this point, and or at least been putting up the better stats more consistently. So I think with the potential, or if you did lose both of those, you're probably losing your best players on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, I'd say James Cook is probably more vital to the success of this team. If James Cook doesn't play, I would say the Bills, like maybe close to 0% confidence that the Bills offense will get anything rolling if James Cook isn't on the field. But I mean, it's good that they were upgraded from yesterday. Yesterday, when I saw that did not practice, it was definitely like, okay, I mean, this might be an okay week to kind of get by with that, maybe against Miami, but still not a good thing to see. But it is good today that they were upgraded. And yeah, just like Caleb said, both of these guys are the leaders on their side of the ball. So it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend, but I do think they're moving in the right direction based on what we saw today.
I did have the same thought about if there's any week to not have Bosa and Cook, other than the Jets game at the end of the year, this would probably be that week. The thought you had about the Bills not being able to do anything on offense, I think it might be a little extreme there, because Ty Johnson and Ray Davis, I think they are underappreciated because of just how little snaps they've had. I mean, they don't carry the ball a ton because Cook's been so good. I think they are functional, certainly behind this offensive line. But regardless, the general point you're making about the hit the Bills offense takes without James Cook being sizable, 100% true. This is a totally different offense, which is weird to think about when you got the MVP at quarterback if you don't have James Cook playing running back there. So look, the way the injuries are progressing, where it's a DNP on Wednesday and a limit on Thursday, this is often what you do with guys who are important for your team who are not that hurt. Wednesday's let's make sure we don't do anything stupid, and then just be here for Thursday. We'll get you ready to go for the game on Sunday. So I don't think either guy at this point is in much danger of not playing, but certainly they have become, to what you guys have been saying, not just the leader. I think leader is a good term for it, but the most important players on both sides, not named Josh Allen. There was a good conversation that was had yesterday when it came to the Bills' young defensive lineman. I talked to Jordan Phillips for a little while, and he almost unprompted had some incredible praise for Deion Walker in particular. He did talk about TJ Sanders. Phillips thinks that TJ Sanders is going to be a totally different guy whenever he comes back from injured reserve. But Walker's an interesting guy to talk about because the way the Bills have had injuries fall on the defensive line going forward, one would think he's going to be a pretty vital part of this second half. Here's what Phillips had to say about Walker and also what Walker kind of thinks about where he is in terms of his role going forward as well.
So Deion is, I'm going to go ahead and say this now because I don't think he's been getting enough recognition for it. I think Deion is the defensive rookie of the year so far. You know what I mean? He's leading. I want to say he's like top 5 in TFLs across the league. He's playing really well. He's a hard worker. And then when he gets out there, people notice. Like he's a big guy, but he's athletic. He can run. He's powerful. He's everything you want in a nose tackle. So I think Deion is light years ahead of me when I was a rookie.
I enjoy football. I love football. Football is my first love. So I feel like just me going out there playing, it doesn't feel like a job. It doesn't feel like, oh, I got all these stresses. I got this big weight on my shoulders. I'm just out there playing. You know, I'm out there laughing with TB, Matt, Taryn, anybody that's out there. Like, we making jokes. We running with each other, no matter, motivating each other. So it doesn't really feel like a game to me. Like, it feels like little league football still, just we grown.
I think the most encouraging part of that soundbite, other than Jordan Phillips just going over the top with Defensive Rookie of the Year, Deion Walker's had a good year. He's not going to be Defensive Rookie of the Year. Also, to fact check Jordan Phillips, Deion Walker is 13th in tackles for a loss this year. But that's among everybody in the league. So not top 5, but still really good. The point here, though, is no Ed Oliver, no TJ Sanders for the moment, no Michael Hoyt to help. Deion Walker, if this team is going to get where they want to get to, is going to have to be a guy who is relied upon and who performs week after week after week. He started strong, but it hasn't been consistently great. Caleb, what's your confidence level in terms of Walker's ability to get to the level the Bills need him to get, understanding that that level is a little bit of a vague line at this point as well?
I think if we're setting the timeline of when he needs to get there by, let's just say playoffs, that's when you're like, oh, we need him. My confidence level is actually pretty high. You know, if the line was this week or next week, it definitely goes down. But I think a whole half of a season, hopefully the defensive line stays a little bit more consistent now. There's been kind of guys going in and out with injuries. And then you've got Hoyt, for example, coming in off of the suspension, and now he's out again. So the offensive line's been kind of shaken up. The defensive line, apologies, has been shaken up a little bit. So I think now that it's hopefully, fingers crossed, knock on wood, a little bit more consistent, that should help him. But just the fact that he's now got a whole nother season to continue to improve. I think that
another half a season.
Another half season, yes, to continue to improve. I think by the time we reach playoffs, he should be at a level where the Bills can confidently put him out there every single down and he can make an impact.
It's a fair thing to say that the understanding that where he is now should be different than where he is in 2 months, in the same way that where he is now is different than what he was in training camp. So there's room, there's time for him to grow into something better than he is now, even if now isn't quite
exactly
what the Bills need out of him at this point.
Yeah, and to Caleb's point, I mean, this is a defensive line that hasn't had a consistent rotation just because of all of these injuries, but Deion Walker has been a consistent factor on this defense. I mean, has he been consistent in his performance? We've kind of gone back and forth with he has really great games and then sometimes, he's a little bit quieter. But I mean, honestly, exactly what Caleb said. I think the playoffs is that line, and I do see him getting there. He seems like the type of person, just based on, the interviews and the way he talks about it, it seems like he's willing to put in the work, and he's, taken all of this information and all these things from these veteran guys. And it seems like he really is. He's aware of his role right now and being one of those guys that has to step up.
The best thing, and you're all over it right there, is his attitude is fantastic. I love talking to him. I love the way he goes about it. I love the way he talks about the guys around him. You heard him at the end say, it feels like I'm still playing football as a kid. We're just grown up now. So all of that is good. And it doesn't feel like whatever weight there might be is going to weigh him down. He's a guy that kind of grew up with weight weighing him down. So I think he's comfortable with it at this point, as giant as he is. in terms of his play, I don't think it's so much that he's had good games and bad games. He actually almost literally has good plays and bad plays. It really goes like series to series. You'll see one where he will TFL, blow through it at the double team and look good. And then on the very next snap, two guys get into him, get under his pads, and drive him 5 yards downfield. So I don't think either side is ridiculously at one end of the spectrum to where you're not losing so much in the bad plays that it's unplayable. But it has been this right now, which is what you expect from a rookie. Can he get to the next level? I wonder. I mean, this is a 4th-round rookie. This is not a guy that was expected to have. He didn't get drafted because he had ridiculous talent. It's because he had ridiculous size. The talent thing you would feel like would develop and get better. Now, maybe you can coach him up. The size thing you're just going to have. But the size thing, as we've seen, isn't such an overwhelming advantage for him. We've talked about it. He's not good because he's giant. He's good because he's really big and wildly athletic for his size. So I'm kind of in the middle of whether I think he can get there. But all the intangibles, those are the things above all that make me the most encouraged. All right, we're going to get into our BKL Nightly Roundtable early in the show tonight because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. First half of the season's over. We got some awards coming up. We'll get to that in a second. But first, let's talk about the guy who has become a hero all over Western New York, and that would be Mr. Michael Hoyt. Not necessarily for his play, but for just how brave the guy was, for sitting on the sideline while he's got a torn Achilles, rooting on his teammates. Bills fans have seen, I'm sure, the viral video that's on every social media platform you could possibly imagine of him cheering on his teammates, getting excited, saying, I'm not going to leave the field. It's wild how much of a hero this guy has become. He's only going to play like 7 quarters this year. But now that he's gone, guys, what is the impact of Michael Hoyt? And one of the reasons I want to bring this up is kind of the tongue-in-cheek description of him becoming a hero that I just went through, that he is a guy who is wildly well regarded by Bills Mafia with very little impact. And he's not even supposed to be a star. He's supposed to be a role guy. So, Rachel, with the Bills without Hoyt, how much do the Bills lose now the rest of the season?
I think performance-wise, like we said, we've only seen 2 games from him, so it's hard to say. I mean, and he hasn't had a crazy impact in either of those games. He's done well. I mean, he's been noticeable, but I think just the biggest hit is just maybe the overall morale of this defense. Just like the video. I mean, you see it in the video. You see the way he wants to cheer on his teammates. You see the energy. And even I remember the preseason game that we were at. I remember talking to you after that. When Michael Hoyt is on the field, you just notice. You notice he's out there. And whether or not, him not being on the field is going to impact how the defensive line even performs. I think just the idea of having a guy who's been here before, who has the energy, and you can tell when he's on the field, I think that might be the bigger loss moving forward with a D-line that is, stretched thin at times due to injuries. Yeah,
I think before I actually get into it, I didn't realize on the second picture on the slide that we just showed on his left tricep, he has an NFL tattoo, the NFL logo tattoo. I don't know. I didn't realize he had that. If I knew he had that, I wouldn't be surprised. The one after this, I wouldn't have been surprised at all that he was out there. Like this is a football guy if he's got an NFL tattoo. But I agree with Rachel that for the kind of like big right there, you can see it on his tricep.
Did not even notice that.
I mean, if he's got that, obviously he's a football guy. Come on. But I agree with Rachel that you're not really missing out on like big game changing value, like big, huge plays, like always going to make an impact. You can have him out there on any down and he's going to make a play. But I do agree with the morale, but I also think that like his contribution to like the depth of this team, because now with him gone, you're relying on a veteran like Daquan Jones to step in and have a bigger role. I know we just talked about De'Aaron Walker. Now you're kind of forcing him into a bigger role with him out. Guys like Javon Solomon and even like Landon Jackson, when he's healthy and he comes back and he starts to play a little bit more, he might be forced to now with Hoyt now out. Just like some of those guys that are further down the depth chart might now be forced to step up. So I think that's where we're going to see maybe a bigger impact. We might see some guys on the field that we didn't originally expect to see on the field. But I do agree with Rachel that I think morale is probably the biggest thing, because just the energy that he had out on the field, it seemed to be lifting up everybody.
The right answer to this question is we don't know because of how little he played. And also, to your point, the role he was going to have was going to be so nebulous. What was he going to do? Was he just going to be an edge rusher? I mean, the first snap he gets in on a passing down, he's rushing over the center. Mm-hmm. So he was probably going to be asked to do a number of different things from a number of different spots. And whether he was any good at any of those remains to be seen. That was what he was brought in to be, was kind of a jack of all trades defensive lineman, to where he can be in the inside, he can be on the outside. He talked to me in the offseason about, look, I want to be the guy. He didn't say it, I'm going to paraphrase for him. I want to be the guy who kind of gets the guy open, I want to be the guy who draws 2 blockers so Joey Bosa gets a sack. He was cool doing all that. That's why he's got a NFL tattoo on his bicep. So I don't think the impact will be that large in terms of being a game changer. It certainly would have likely been helpful. To be honest, I think the impact might be more of, I'm sure Bills coaches had X number of plans. The defensive playbook probably had a whole Michael Hoyt chapter, right? Now you rip that thing out and you toss it because you're not going to have him for the rest of the season. And like you said, how that ripples down through the rest of the defense remains to be seen. If Landon Jackson, whenever he gets a chance, steps up, then no problem. If Javon Solomon, who's been okay at times, kind of takes some of that Hoyt role, and he came in for Hoyt in a lot of the positions that Hoyt would have played into that Chiefs game, if he plays better, then the impact is lessened. So it's a fascinating discussion because, like I said, you don't really know what the answer is. We probably don't even have an idea of describing what he would have done, but it's wider as opposed to a particular impact. It's not like we talked about James Cook before. If you take him out of the offense, bang, that offense is way different. You take Michael Hoyt out of the defense, there isn't that sharp decrease in production, but it's little sprinkles here and there about where he probably would have been a contributor. All right, question number 2. So the Bills are playing a game this week. We haven't talked about it a whole lot, and there's a good reason for that because the Dolphins are really, really bad, and they were unloading players at the trade deadline. So there's the question, guys, for you. Rachel, I'll let you go first. Is there anything to worry about at all when it comes to the Bills going down to Miami on Sunday?
No, I don't think so. I can have my answer there, honestly. I mean,
I'll put it this way. The biggest worry you can possibly think of.
I honestly was like going through their recent games, looking at stats. I don't even have a big worry. I just think Miami's a team that sometimes they look like they can hang, and they're like, okay, Miami might be putting something together.
This is correct, yeah.
And then but they're 2-7, so obviously they can't finish. I mean, their losses, I think they're 1-3 at home. 2 of those losses were within a touchdown. The one they got blown out last week against Baltimore. But
do you know what their one win is at home, by the way?
Atlanta, isn't it? Or is
No.
No, they did beat Atlanta though. That is one of their wins.
They did. Yes.
I don't know who their home
Well,
was.
then the Atlanta
Earlier in
win
the
was,
year, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Atlanta win was
Jets?
at home, but yeah, they beat the Jets.
Oh,
They must
yeah,
be
yeah.
2-3 at home now because they did
Okay.
beat Atlanta at home.
Okay.
Either way, the Jets are one of their wins.
Either
That's the
way.
only point I want to make. Continue.
No, I mean, it's just, there's really no worry about really much of what their offense can do. Just the fact that they look like they can hang. I mean, they hung around with the Bills for a little bit, week 3. It was a 10-point win, but
With Tyreek Hill, though.
yes,
it's a big
that is
difference.
true. But no, I guess my simple answer is no. I don't really have a worry about it.
Which is the correct answer. Caleb?
I have the same answer. Is I don't have many worries. You kind of took it from me a little bit, but Tyreek Hill's not there anymore. The only offensive receiving weapon to really be concerned about is Jalen Waddle. But again, to his arm just doesn't scare me that much. I guess if I had to pick one, it would be Devon Achane and his running ability. Now, the Bills were able to hold him to 62 yards when they met earlier in the year. But obviously, this is a different team now. He's done a little bit better. He's been putting up some higher numbers in the box scores. And, you saw what the Bills let Bijan Robinson do, who is a similar type of build running back. So I guess my concern is that he could have a day. But when I look at the defensive side, especially if the Bills offense can come out as strong as they did against the Chiefs last week, outside of that Kirk Cousins Atlanta game, this Miami defense has allowed it's 29.333 points per game in their last 3 games outside of that Atlanta game. So I see no reason why the Bills shouldn't be able to put up 30 plus. And if you do that, that Miami offense isn't even going to get close. So
To your point, Dolphins points allowed other than Atlanta. You ready for this? 33, 33, 31, 21, 27, 29, 31, 28.
exactly.
So, yeah, the defense is no bueno. But I'm with you. The worry for me is Devon Achane because against the Falcons, the thing that Miami did really well was run the ball and control the game with the running game. And really, on both sides of the ball, they stopped the run pretty darn well in that game too. So if somehow that Miami team shows up where they are able to run the ball, and the Bills defense is still not very good stopping the run, so it's not out of the realm, I don't expect the Miami defense to stop the Bills running game at all. But if James Cook is banged up, if they do somehow play well, this is the only thing that leads me to a borderline worry. Achane is a guy that can, on the ground and through the air, totally take over a game by himself, even to a level that I'm not sure James Cook can get to. Like, I wonder if Achane's highs, even though he doesn't get there nearly as often as a James Cook would, might be even a little higher than what Cook is in terms of just an individual athlete. But the Bills should be able to handle this, all things considered. And Achane should not be enough by himself on an offense that the passing game is totally different. You can tell that Falcons game, even in them winning, the passing game did not look nearly as dangerous. So the answer, like I said, is probably no. But Devon Achane is a thing for the Bills to worry about. All right, it is now first half superlatives time. There will be no pictures. There'll be no quotes in the yearbook, but we will hand out some awards here. We got 3 of them. We're going to start out with the best new guy of the first half of the season. Caleb, I'll let you have the first crack at this award I just made up on my own.
All right, so we'll get to the other awards obviously next, and who I picked for some of those are kind of the reason why I went in a different direction here. I just want to get it out of the way that I think the obvious answer for best new guy, which you guys will probably pick, is Joey Bosa, but I wanted to be different. So I'm going to go with Shaq Thompson as my pick for next new guy.
It's a good answer. It's a good answer.
Although he hasn't been a star and he hasn't just completely destroyed games, I don't think the expectation level was that high for him coming into the season. And he's gone out there and he's making good tackles. I don't know how much he's been used in the pass game, but I've seen him a couple times make some plays. It just seems like when he's out there, he's consistently playing good. I think my expectation before the season was that he wasn't going to get many snaps. And when he did, he wasn't going to look amazing. And although he hasn't looked amazing, he's gone out there and performed pretty consistently well. I think he's probably been one of the best linebackers on this team, or at least the most consistent linebacker on this team so far this year. So for that reason, maybe a little bit whatever, but I'm going to go with Shaq Thompson.
Like I said, I like that answer. Rachel?
I'm going to go with your other answer, Joey Bosa. I mean, like you said, it's the obvious answer. Just like we said, he's the guy that is the leader on defense. You see his presence out there. He leads the team in sacks, consistently putting pressure on every offense the Bills have gone up against. So Joey Bosa for me.
Although I like the Shaq Thompson answer, Joey Bosa is probably the right answer, frankly. I also went off the beaten path for the same reason you guys thought of it, but I went Jackson Hawes. And my argument is, based on expectations, this is the best new guy. Shaq Thompson has been a really good linebacker, and you could still make an argument, even based on expectations, he's a better guy. But Jackson Hawes is a 5th-round pick, and he really had one job, to block. So you think, how good a blocker could he be? He's that good. He totally deserves to be picked based on his blocking. And as we continue to joke about, the Bills are 6-0 when he catches a pass and 0-2 when he does not. So clearly he has some impact in the receiving game as well. Next award, the first half surprise of the year. Rachel, you can go first this time.
My first half surprise is that Keon Coleman is just not doing what I think we expected him to do. Obviously, I did not think he was going to have a breakout, but my surprise is just the overall lack of production from Keon Coleman. Maybe as the receiver room in general, but I would have expected him to have a bigger impact at this point in the year, and he just hasn't. So that's where I'm going.
That's a good answer, too. I think that might be the winner. Go ahead, Caleb. You can go with number 2.
Rachel, I'm going to go with the same book, but a different page. I'm going to go with the lack of production from Joshua Palmer. I really thought coming into the year, with Keon Coleman, there was kind of that expectation of a breakout. But I think as we went through training camp, we all kind of had in the back of our heads that maybe temper those expectations. But with Joshua Palmer, from what I saw in training camp and from what I saw in previous years of him in LA, there was nothing that said he shouldn't at least go out and be a good wide receiver too. But just like Keon Coleman, outside of that Baltimore game, week 1, we haven't really seen anything from him. It's just been 2 to 3 catches every single game for 40 to 50 yards, sometimes even only 20. So I think for Keon, my argument would be more of he's not playing well. But for Palmer, my argument is more there just doesn't seem like they're using him as much as I thought they would. So I think that's my biggest surprise.
Probably a combination of both there, but I think it's a good answer. I went Joey Bosa because he's still upright and has played 8 games so far, and because he's been really good.
Would someone please?
Exactly. There's a part of I thought Joey Bosa coming into this season, I did wonder about getting close to 30. Would he still have the full bag? And the answer is yes. The answer is 100%. I don't know if he's been elite Myles Garrett level, but whatever the next level is, he's been living there all year, and that's a surprise to me. Final one. This is the first half MVP, the non-Josh Allen division. Rachel, you can go first.
I think it has to go to James Cook, but I have a backup answer, but it might be Caleb's answer. So
You went first, so you don't have to go to the backup answer.
Sometimes I don't like going first because I'm like, okay, whatever Caleb says. James Cook, we've said this probably like 5 times already in the last 20 minutes. James Cook is mostly the Bills' offense right now. He continues to just put up insane numbers mostly every single week. And I think without him, the Bills probably would not be 6-2, and I don't think their offense would be rolling as much as it has. So, James Cook.
Much like the best new guy, I agree with Rachel that James Cook is the right answer. But the reason I didn't go Joey Bosa for best new guy is because I have Joey Bosa as my MVP. I think we've all picked him for at least one thing.
Yeah.
And that shows to me
That's appropriate, though. That's absolutely appropriate.
He's been a surprise. He's been the best new guy. And honestly, I think he's in contention for MVP of this team. Just what he's been able to do. He's shown up in big moments like your star is supposed to. And he's just looked dominant. And I mean, we've talked so much that although he's not putting up those like big stats, like I haven't, but if you look at what he is stat-wise compared to the rest of the NFL, I'm sure he's not way up there, but I don't think that shows the impact that he's had on this team even close.
Agree. James Cook is my answer too. I figured one of you guys would have it. No big deal. The 1B answer or the honorable mention for me is offensive line in general. I think they continue to be really strong. They continue to stay healthy, which is almost ridiculous. But as much as James Cook is very good, and he is of the two groups, I think Cook is a little bit better. The O-line has still been exceptional, and there are so many things they get done because of that this year. All right, that was fun. We'll do it again into the season, I'm sure. Got 2 minutes here, guys. Let's rip through our predictions, especially because I don't think there'll be much drama about who is going to be the winner of this game. Caleb, you can go first.
Yeah, the score when these guys first played was 31-21. I'm going to go a little bit better than that, 35-21. Originally, I wanted to give Miami less, but I think this defense could potentially be a little bit banged up. So just for that reason, I'm going to keep them at 21. But I think this Bills offense last week showed me that they got the pass game moving a little bit, and hopefully that just continues to grow. So I got 35-21.
Rachel?
I did give Miami less. I went 31-10. Quite the difference there. But, I mean, the Bills put up a lot of points. Miami gives up a lot of points. Miami is just generally not the greatest of football teams right now. So I just think this is going to be an easy win for the Bills.
I'm totally with you on that. I actually went bigger than both you guys. I'm going to go 37-13.
Wow.
Now, the Bills' injuries give me pause a little bit here, but the way this Miami team is set up, they just traded away Jalen Phillips. The vibes are bad. They've got the most turnovers in the NFL. They've got a bottom 5 rush defense. They have 1 interception defensively this year. There's nothing really about this team that says we're going to fight you at all. And outside of Miami showing up quick or something early, keeping the Dolphins in the game, to me, I think this is an easy Buffalo gets in front. The Bills are great front runners. They should be able to front run. They're going to be basically the home team, even though they're on the road. Everything about this screams Buffalo walk in the park, except the one caveat is the injuries. If it's somehow not Christian Benford or Joey Bosa or James Cook, different game for sure. But if the normal, healthy Bills show up, this should be a fun trip, as it usually is, all the way down to Miami. All right, that's going to do it for this edition of BKL Nightly. We'll be back again on Sunday, post-game show live, me and Caleb Carr, 4 o'clock, following Miami and Buffalo, talking about likely all the really good things the Bills did in the game. Thank you to Rachel and Caleb for being with me again today. We will see you again on Monday. Appreciate you guys watching at home, too.
Get the Rochester First streaming app today for everything you love from News 8 On Demand, plus exclusive shows you won't see anywhere else. Search ROC and download for free on Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV.